Okay, guys, so this is a recording for the PHP lab, just to give you a quick review on this lab to make sure you guys got it and you guys are able to do it. So I'll skip part one because it's repeated in part two. So in part two, we are going now to create a database. We are going to create a PHP page and we're going to connect them together. So, of course, we are assuming everything is installed and we need to copy this file to your virtual machine. So this is something that some of students are confused with it, but it's, you guys must learn this one. So the rule is very simple for this one. The command is you run it from the PowerShell. So you click on the start menu, you type PowerShell, PowerPoint, PowerShell. So in your PowerShell, you will have to write the command to copy the data. So the command is, again, as you see it, is secb -r. So he will copy the folders and the files. Then you will tell him where is the file located. So for me, the file that I'm trying to copy is located actually inside my C drive, inside the folder 111. It's called Qatar site. So I want to copy this Qatar site website inside C/11. So I will give him here, so C column \11 backslash, just to make sure I copy the name exactly as it is instead of me typing with a spelling mistake. So I'll just put it here as it is. So now he will copy the entire folder and everything inside that folder. Now I need to put the rest of the command, which is the username at the VM IP address. So here I have to put the username and the VM IP address. So I need to check up my VM IP address. So give me 1 second here. IBA. So my VM IP address is 27.128. So I will write here. So I will write here student 3203 and 192.168.26.128. And this sign mean I want to copy it to the home root folder of that user. So it will be in the root folder of the user. So I'll press enter and put the password, press enter, and the files has been copied. So technically, if I go to my Linux machine, if I go under that file explorer, sorry for the VM being slow. If I go under my home folder, I will find that file there called Qatar site. You can see it here. And inside it, I have the PHP and I have the images. So it is there. We will need it later in the lab. Okay, so this is the first part of the lab. So the second part is building the website. So building the website, we've done it so many times. I will do it one more quickly. And I always advise you guys to do it with the normal index HTML page. Even if in the lab I didn't ask for HTML page, do it, test it, make sure everything is okay because before you confuse yourself with the PHP. So my recommendation is always do it with index and try it. So let's go ahead and do it. The website name here is qatarsite.com. So technically, in my command here, to create the website, as usual, we have to do 3 steps. So step number 1 is make directory under the folder. Sorry, we have to do sudo. So sudo make directory under the folder var, under the folder www, and we will call it qatar-site. Good. So we created the folder inft3203. We created the folder. Okay, I already have a folder. 1 second, let me delete it and come back. So this is the minimum HTML code command that you need to do. So again, Control X, yes, enter. We're done with the website. Now the second part of the website is copy the configuration file. So again, sudo cb, and then we will do the etc/apache2, and every time you type, you press tab key. So just tap the first two letters of the name and then tab key. That way it will continue, and that way you will figure out if there is a mistake on your link, so it will be much better for you. After apache2, we will just put the file name that we want to copy, which is 000 default. So it's not there, you see, it's my mistake. So it's inside site available. So sites available, and then you put 000 default. So I'm copying that default site, I'm copying it to the new configuration file for Qatar site. So again, I will type etc. I can copy this as it is this way. Oops, you see, this is what you don't do it. So you put the command sudo cb, the 00 file config, again to the same folder, and the file you call it Qatar dash site. Again, as we said before, the name of the file doesn't have to match the name of the website, but it's better. So now I will need to do nano for that. Again, sudo nano, put the file name to modify it, and the file name is Qatar site. Good, press enter. I'll go here. These lines I can delete, Control K, it will cut all the comments. I don't need them. Then again here, cut all the comments. And then again here, remove the comments. You can keep them, have no problem. The most important thing is that you change this to Qatar-site, and remember it's case sensitive. And then we'll put here the server name. Good. Again, there is a capital letter and there is space after that, and the site name is qatar-site.com. So this is the only one that you really needed to match with the website name, the domain name, the website name. So again, you do Control X. Yes, save it. Now we're done with that. Now we need to enable the website. So the enabling the website is sudo apache2 enable site, and then you put the site name, which is Qatar site, and that way using the tab will help me, because if there's any mistake I can see it immediately. So I enabled the website, and now I have to reload the Apache server system. So sudo systemctl, and again called reload Apache2 service. Good. Now I'm done. I'm ready from the server side. The website is up and ready, and everything is okay with that one. Now the third step, and this is something that I prefer, I do myself a lot of time, so which is I go to the notepad. Sorry, I have to go to the notepad and run it as administrator. So run the notepad as administrator, and then from the administrator notepad you go to open, and then you go to your C drive, to your Windows folder, to your System32, to your drivers and ACT. And from there you get the host website, and from there you have all the websites. Just make sure you have one for Qatar site and the IP address. Of course you have to add it. For me, because I'm doing all these websites, that's why I still have them all here. So I will keep just Qatar site here. If there is anything on your machine, that's fine, leave it. Just make sure you have this line, and make sure the IP address match the VM IP address, and make sure you refresh the IP address, because IP address on these VMs are changing with the student, and students are getting confused. So now I'm going to save that file. Now my website is ready to be tested from the browser. So now if I go to my browser, type qatarsite.com, the website will load, and the website is ready. Now I know that my website is functioning from the Apache point of view. Now some students, what they are doing, they are creating the PHP page immediately, and then they had an error, and they don't know if the error is caused by the PHP code or the PHP page or the settings of the site. So this way I know the site is working. Now I can do my PHP page. So we're done with the first part of the lab. We built it, the websites, and we check the website that it's working. And now what we need to do is we need to copy this data that we got, the files that we got earlier, the Qatar site. We need to copy them into the folder that we are using with. And I'm sorry, there's a small problem in this node in the lab. It's causing problem because you guys don't have the permission to execute this, so we have to do it from inside the VM. That's why I explained that to you earlier. So now from inside my VM, as you guys remember, my data is currently located here inside /home/student32/Qatar site. So I need to copy this file and this image to my working folder. So I will type here again sudo cb -r, so he will copy the folders as well. Then I will put the link, which is home/student3203/Qatar-site. This is the name of the folder as it's written here. And I need to copy that into the folder, which is my web folder, which is var/www/qatar-site. Good. So I need to copy the content of that folder to the content of that folder. Okay, so the command to copy is sudo cb -r/home/student/Qatar-site/star, star meaning get the content of the Qatar site. If you don't put the /site, what will happen, it will copy the Qatar folder inside the Qatar folder. So you'll have double folders in there. So it's very important to put the /star and then this one, and then you press enter. And then you press enter. Now the command happened. Just to verify it, we will go to ll, just show us var/www/Qatar-site and press and enter. And you can see here we have the images folder and we have the index that we created and we have B1 PHP page. So now I did manage to copy the files as I needed to copy here, and I updated the lab. I'll post a new version on the website. So I did upload that lab. Now what we need to do is we need to create a new PHP page, good, with the following PHP code. Good. So this will give us the static page that we are looking to. We'll talk about it in a few seconds. Now before I create this page and put the full code, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the lab, to part 1, just to show you the first two parts of that. The first part is to create a standard page that contains only this code, and we will test that code, see what will happen to it. So I will copy that code from here and back to my Linux machine. I'm going to create sudo nano, and again inside the var, inside www, inside Qatar site, I'm going to create a new page, call it b2.php because I already have b1 there. Good. In that page, I'm just going to put that code, nothing else. Control X, yes, Control U. So that will verify for me if my website settings are correct and details. So now if I want to access that page, I will just put it here in the website and then just backslash to b2.php. So I press enter, it showed me the PHP page. That means all my PHP settings are okay. It took me 2 extra seconds, but I will know where is the error. So now when I do the other page that have the other PHP commands, I will be able to figure out what's happening. So now my PHP page is working. I know it's working. I know my PHP settings are fine. There is nothing wrong with my PHP settings. Now I can go to the next step. Now this page I will skip. It's just a standard page copy paste. There is nothing here. We will go now to the part of creating the database. Okay, so we need to create a new database and we need to put these tables inside that database. So we'll go through the database creation now to make things very clear for you guys and nobody's confused with this part. So this way hopefully the screen will look better a little bit. So now we need to create a new table called Qatar site. Create a new database called Qatar site. So the command to create the database, as we said before, it's to create database. First of all, you have to go, of course, to MySQL. So sudo MySQL. Now I'm inside MySQL. Now I will need to write the command. So the command is create database and give it the database name. Press enter. Now database has been created. Now, in order for me to continue my work, I need to access that database and use database. So use Qatar-site database. Now, my recommendation for you inside MySQL, put everything in a small letter. Don't put anything in capital letter or anything like this. You notice here I put a dash instead of underscore. So that's why it didn't work. Now it's working. My database is working. The next step here, I need to create a table. The table is named sports. And inside this table, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fields that I will need to do. And you guys can review that part from the database server if you need, from the database video, to see those chart how to do it. But the code is very simple. I'll put it for you here and we'll show it to you again just in case. So I'm putting the code. Sorry guys, I don't want to type so the video doesn't look very long for you. So create a table called sport. I'll open the bracket and then I need to put field after field after field after field. In SQL, we said that on the SQL video, you can put the command under each other. Pressing enter will not execute unless there is the semicolon. So create a table sport, open. The first column is the ID. It's integer, it's primary key meaning it's unique. Now, the second part is the name. It's a text, 255, not null, meaning mandatory. We have to have it. Okay, the description is not null, and the image is not null. That's what I prefer. You don't prefer not null, it's up to you, whatever the options depending on the table. So, and that, notice here the last line has no comma, and then I press enter. Now the table has been created. Now I need to insert the data into the table. So inserting the data into the table, again, we talked about this in the previous video, so I'll show it to you again one more time here. See how we can do it. Sorry guys, somebody opened the door on me. Okay, so anyway, the command to insert the data, good. So I put it on the notepad, it's easier because I put it in SQL and it looked very messy. So the command is very simple, insert into the table name, then the field name, field name, field name, field name. So I have the 4 fields in my table, value. Then I'll put the first thing, comma, the data, comma, the data, comma, the data, comma, and you can notice if there is any text data, it will be like this. Now, most probably if in the quiz or anything like this, we'll give you this command and already printed and already ready for you, so you don't have to do it. So the data has been entered now in the database. So the same thing we will have to repeat for the other 3 tables. So I'm not going to waste your time in the recording, but technically you run the same command to do these 3 tables. So this is how we create the other table. And this is how we get the data that we need to get in here. And this is how we create the 3rd table as well. So now if I need to see the tables that I created, I will just use the command show tables. And that will show me that I created 2 tables. And if I want to see the data, select everything from this table, select everything from this table, and he will be able to show me the data of that table. Of course, it will look a little bit messy because the data here have a lot of text, but you can see it. It's like number 1, it is football, and there is the whole text of football, and then there is the photo name. So the data is there in case if you want to see the data. Now, that second part after this is creating the users that we need to create. So now we're going to talk about creating users, but you guys have to be careful when you do the labs multiple times, like what's happening to me, there will be multiple users in there. So just in case you need to verify before you create any users, you can go here and do select users from select user comma host from MySQL user. So this command will show you all the users that currently your database have. So these are the users that are currently available in your database. And because we are running multiple labs and multiple things, there might be some disasters happening here. That is fine. We can delete some of those users if we don't want them, or we can just make sure there is no confusion. Because if you notice here, there is a user called admin1, and here I'm using admin1, but here is the password is different from this password, so my PHP page will not work. So better for me to change this to admin2 or admin3, or worst case scenario, delete the user if I have it, if I don't need it anymore. So just be careful with this, because some students yesterday were sending me emails about this, and because of the multiple users that we are using, they are confused. So anyway, if you want to delete a user, there is a command that you can use to delete the user. So just to be clear, guys, these are the users that I created. This one, admin user, and temp. These are the stuff that I created that we don't need them in the database. The other ones that we have here, these are the default users that we don't want to touch. Okay, so these are the default users. So I will delete them. You guys can change the name. It's up to you what you want to make things easier. So to delete the user, the command is technically drop user. You put the username and then you put the host that he is using. So I'm deleting that user. If I want to delete all of them, so technically I will just run the 3 commands to delete all these users. So I have the command. So delete drop user admin, drop user admin user, drop user. So now I don't have any of those users left. So now if I run the command to show me the user list again, good, I will only have the default users. The temp one is fine, it will come back, that's not a problem. So now I need to create two user, which is admin1 and temp1, and give them the proper access. So here I want to create an admin1 with this password and give him full access. So this is the code for it. So the code is create user admin1, and again at percentage, so he can access from any machine identified by the password. He created him, then grant him all privileges, and then finally flush the services. So this is for the first user. Again, watch that video for the other video for the SQL, and you'll be able to understand those in details. And I'm going to create the other account now here. And the details of the other account has been created as well. So now both of them are created, and let's see if we can get the list of the users one more time, and I can see admin1, and I can see where is the other user? Oh, sorry, admin1 and temp. We shouldn't call it temp, we should call something else. Now we're done with the database creation and the user creation, so we'll exit the database, and now we will start working on the PHP at the next step. So now connecting the website, the PHP page to the database. So we need to go to our system. We need to create a new web page. So sudo nano, again, we create it inside the var folder, so the folder www, the folder Qatar sites, then s2.php or whatever you want to call it, and you press enter, and then we will do the page. So the code that I gave to you here is explaining the idea, and there is some stuff that you really need to understand here. So please focus with me, because in the lab exam, you guys have to know this code. So here it's opening the PHP, of course, closing the PHP. So this is part number one. So your page should always open the PHP and close the PHP. Then this is / mean comments. So this is where you put the comments, and I don't going to discuss the comments. So here we are defining the variables, meaning we are telling him that our database name, good, and then our username and our password. So later when we call the database, we can call them with this variable instead of having these 3 lines in one line. This is recommended by everybody who do PHP, but you can still do it in one line. So technically you need one line. So the one line should be like this: DB, define the database connection, equal new, create a new connection. The connection type is PHP BDO. And then here you put the database name, which is the whole thing. But because it's annoying to have everything in one line, they break it into 3 lines. So that's what's happening here. So database, meaning MySQL, host, local host, meaning I'm locally on the machine, database name, and here is where I put my database name. So if your database name is test2, test3, test5, capital Q, capital, that's why I told you make sure everything is small letter. And this is character, this is just for the encoding, keep it as it is. So this line, you have to memorize it as it is. These 3 lines, you have to memorize them as it is for the exam. So DNS equal this one and this one, I'll have them there. So, and then we create the connection, or the PHP data point connection. And this is echo just to give me a message on the screen says everything's okay. So I'm copying this code. I'm putting it here. Good, that's all what I need to do. And now I'm closing the page. Control X, save it, yes. Now on my website, if I load the website now, which is not www again, sorry, which is qatarsite.com/s2.php. I get database connection secure. It has my student number in there, and that means the connection is fine. So let's see what will happen if it wasn't fine. Let's see that we go here, and let's say, for example, we are going to create an error here. Sorry, this crazy VM. Let's say I'm going to put here admin2 instead of admin1, which you do not have, and delete the semi-comma. Good. Now if I close, yes, I'm going to save it as student2-111, just one enough. So get an error. Okay, save it as different name, that's fine. So now if I do the page here as s2-1 with an error, I will get an error. What is the error that I'm facing? Where is it? What's happening? What's going on? Everything is explained there. So that will show me the error, show me what's happening in that error. Okay, so that's why it's a good step. So I like to work step by step instead of writing a whole page document at once. That's why I did the lab this way. So now we have this part done. So we'll go back here. This is the first part, which is the first part of creating a connection with the database. So we didn't use the database yet. We just created a connection with the database. Now, the second part is getting the data from the database. So how we get the data from the database and how we show the data in the database. So again, we're going to the same page, which is S2 page, and we are going to add another part in that file. And usually what we do is there will be a lot of HTML here, a lot of logos, a lot of stuff. You know, when you go to your QNB bank, for example, there is a lot of stuff there are like HTML design, and you put that code wherever you want the data to show. So in this example, I don't care a lot about this data, so I'm going just to put, I don't care about HTML design, but I'm going to put this code. So this code, what does this code say? Again, it's a PHP code. It's a query asking me to use the DB database, which is defined here. Good. So if you name it here XX1, you have to type here XX1. So query from the database connection one that you opened earlier, query, select everything from the sport table. So if I ask you show me the data from the sport table, you put sport table. If I ask you show me the data from the student table, you put student table. So here you put the student name or the database name or the details of that table. And then you put while sport, the name of the table, equal query, fetch the data, meaning keep looping until you get everything in that database. Echo means show me the name of the user, show me the description, show me the image. Okay, now usually in the exam we will give you these lines to make things easier for you so you don't have to memorize them. So we'll give you these lines in the exam so don't have, but you need to understand what's happening here in case we ask for modification a little bit. So this is field number 1, field number 2, field number 3. So I will copy these, put them in the sheet here, and then Control X, save it, yes. And now if I go to my browser, I go to that S2 page, refresh it, it show me the first field, show me the list, show me the photo. Second, text, photo. Third, text, photo. The 3 lines of data that we entered. So finally, this is very, very important, how to understand the sequence. So this is something that you have to memorize. This is the part where you have to memorize in the exam. You have to enter in the exam. So here again, DNS, MySQL, the host, and this is my database name. Good. And then my username and my password. This is like the syntax of it. Good. And this is when you call the database and save the database connection in this variable, and then you can use it later. So this will be part of the exam sheet that I'm going to give you that have the instruction to do it in the lab exam.